presentations that illustrate the complexity of the challenges we face and the methods and tools we have to address them. I think we've learned a lot about the kind of modeling we have to apply to these issues. They can't be the Newtonian models that brought up. They're some variety of what we call the evolutionary models, but that's probably a simple term for the complexity of these models that we're dealing with. But we've learned the various things that the models have to address a very wide range of issues and integrate them across sectors and get out of all the little narrow boxes into what might ultimately be a huge box. We can't get them into the whole universe that big. But that they have to address that it's very important to take a longer term view of how these things happen and see what develops over time. But in doing the models, it's very important to keep them updated and aimed directly at the issues that need to be addressed and take account of all the secondary and tertiary relationships that are important in dealing with that. This involves an awful lot of learning, figuring out where we get the relevant data and how they fit it together. But in all of this, it's quite clear that none of these models are precise the way the Newtonian physics models are precise. They are approximations, and the approximation and accuracy can change and vary over time. But it's very important to take account of the fact that they're very much impressionistic in some way rather than deterministic, and work together to do this. And then the other very important thing that's very clear is that we need to be able to get this information out to the decision makers so in a relevantly timely fashion they can make the decision before we get the drift out of the way and things have changed between the desirable policy and the kind of effects that it will have. But it's very important to figure out how to get them out there, how to get the necessary support that they need to take account of, and I don't want to use this term, but the reality that the models represent rather than the dreams that the politicians carry around with them when they think various political actions are working together. And as we just heard, it's very hard to bring all of this information together, but we're getting more and more progress in bringing it together, making it clearer so it can be understood by the kind of decision makers, and then convincing them they have to take this broader view. Well, one of the key factors that is involved with that is that means the politicians and decision makers have to have as their priority advancing the common good and achieving more sustainable development, not cementing in their careers and their progress, maintaining the support they get from special interest groups that are pouring huge amounts of money in there, and other forms of distortions in the way they make up their mind. And we've seen this happen in so many countries around the world. Even changing the views of people in the right direction doesn't always allow them to convince the politicians. So it's a continuing, ongoing challenge we face. But these are all tools, and the commitment of the people who are working on these tools to make more progress, which I find very encouraging, because we can make steps ahead, get better information out, both to understand the issues to be addressed, understand what needs to be done to address them, and then be able to monitor that real progress is being made in that direction. So this has all come together in what I think was a very interesting series of presentations that helped us learn a lot more and understand that we face more and more challenges going ahead. But that's the way evolution has been for a long time.
Thank you very much. I agree with him completely, and I have a few other observations just before we adjourn. One is, first, I was very impressed with how much we can and how much we do know. And in fact, we know more today than kings and princes did 200 years ago, and we can get access to most of it in minutes. We are often overwhelmed by it, and I think that we've seen the display of some tools that may help us untangle the overwhelming quantity of information that's available to us every day, and maybe even validate it. Sometimes I think we're pushing on a rope, that essentially an awful lot of the work that's done in generating data and in generating models and analyses is supply driven. And that's a point that people have made. We're in silos. Somebody is doing vanity research in a university that may be very, very interesting, but there's nobody out there asking for it. Me, I'm a consultant. I've worked for many years now as a consultant, where I go to people and they come to me with a problem, usually when it's too late, but nevertheless with a problem that desperately needs solutions. The people who want solutions are suddenly open to the possibility of using new tools, new sources of information, new means of analysis. One observation I have is that so many of them are afraid of risk, and that essentially risk to the things that they value most, whether it's a safe society or a nice environment or happy, healthy kids. If you can portray what they need in terms of a risk to them, it may be the way to open their minds to the need to know more broadly information. The biggest problem we always have, and that's why being prepared for this is important, is that they usually don't have enough time to wait for the information they really need. They need to make a decision, and it's going to be a good one or a bad one, but it's going to happen next Thursday. And the problem is, how do we infiltrate their decision processes with enough information at least to maybe stop them from making the decision until they learn more? Or, like we say, try to get them not to step in something that won't come off. It's really a question of trying to, at the very least, eliminate the worst risks that they are about to take, and try and channel their information flow, channel them to the information that will help them hopefully risk reduce in the future. And we can all argue about which models are most successful, but the best models are the ones that are actually used. So that was how I'm going to, that's my final thought on that one. I will also indicate that tomorrow in our sessions, we are going to look at some other programs associated with the Club of Rome in the Western Hemisphere. Some of the initiatives that K-Corps and USA Corps and the other countries, some of it is back, the model leads you, but what you really are looking at is what are our key values? If sustainable development is what we want, what do we really want to sustain? And therefore, what variables are critical to doing that? What are the key values of each of our societies? And how can we articulate them so then some of these tools can really be of use? We're also looking at how you mobilize larger participation, how you get to the youth, how you get women more involved, how you get the values of each other societies and other parts of culture built in. And another one that has been coming up strongly in the Western Hemisphere is water. We seem to be much more concerned about water issues than they are, for example, at the Club of Rome in Europe. Each area tends to have its own unique set of priority issues. And one of the reasons why this group has gotten together with respect to continental dialogue is to make sure that those issues that are most important to us are effectively reflected globally and given some attention, because some of us feel that has not happened as much and as effectively as it needs to. So that's where we're going tomorrow, and with any luck, we'll be able to take some of these ideas and get them on the table in Rome, and try, or at the Club of Rome in Berlin, and try and make sure that they are paying attention to the issues that they may just not be giving enough attention to now. And that's what tomorrow's about, and to make sure that we in fact do have a voice and that it is effectively presented. So we hope you'll join us tomorrow, and please don't stop thinking. And Graham Maxton, the Secretary General, has agreed to try and join us by Skype. Hopefully it works as well as it did today. He is intrigued. He's had some very good times over here with us, with the Continental Dialogue Group. And quite frankly, the ambiance here, where we're all exchanging ideas, not just strutting our stuff, is quite a contrast to some of the meetings we have in Europe. So we hope to continue that. We hope to continue to build good relationships with the people in the other regions as well. And again, let's all get together and see that it happens. So tomorrow, right now, what's happening?
The reception starts at 5:30, so if you just want to walk around a bit, there are other people joining us, so they had said we'd be ready for 5:30, right?
Yes, 5:30. Can I take 1 minute?
Oh, yes, please, yes, Hans, please.
One thing I forgot to mention, I've got cards and my brochure, if you want to find out more about the matter.
What do you want?
Yes, has anybody not put their business card?
Okay,
or
so we are
provided
call
it
for
yet?
business card, so please kindly drop your business card into this plate, and when I'm looking at the plate over there, so it will be very easy to access.
Is it a draw?
Did you collect it?
CEFC has been sponsoring academic journal. There are a couple over there. They are both in Chinese and in English. So if any of you would be interested to publish your work, your paper, into CEFC journal, the journal will be delivered to really high-level decision-makers in China. So if you want your health, your voice to be heard by them, and to give some push into some directions you would like to speak, and it's a great opportunity. So you can always be in touch with me or with Sheila regarding your paper in terms of publication. This one has been Chinese, but will be in Chinese and English very soon. So we have English dedicated papers. Yes, someday will translate.
Yes, folks, a great opportunity to get your good works in front of 1/3 of the world's population.
Yes, so any interest, please be. Thank you.